Have you heard about Milgram's shock experiment? It was in May 1962. An experiment is being conducted by Stanley Milgram at the Elegant Interaction Laboratory at Yale University. The subjects were recruited from a newspaper ad. They were 40 males between the ages 20 and 50. The subjects range in occupation from corporation presidents to plumbers, and an educational level from one who had not finished elementary school to subjects who have a doctorate and other professional degrees. The volunteers were told they would participate in a study about memory and the learning process.
Psychologists have developed several theories to explain how people learn various types of material. One theory is that people learn things correctly whenever they get punished for making a mistake. We want to find out just what effect different people have on each other as teachers and learners, and also what effect punishment will have on learning in this situation. Therefore, I'm going to ask one of you to be the teacher here this afternoon, and the other to be the learner.
They made the experiment so that the learner is in on it, and the volunteer would always be the teacher.
Would you open those and tell me which of you is which, please? Teacher. Learn. Teacher.
Separated by a screen, the teacher would ask the learner questions in a word game and administer an electric shock when the answer is incorrect. He was told to increase the voltage with each wrong answer.
This machine generates electric shocks, and when you press one of the switches all the way down, the learner gets a shock. When you release it, the shock stops, you see, like that. If he were to indicate the wrong answer, you would say wrong. Then tell him the number of volts you're going to give him. Then give him the punishment. Then read the correct word pair once. And then go on to the next line. Now, each time he gives a wrong answer, you move up one switch on the shock generator. And it's important that you follow this procedure exactly.
The victim was part of the experiment. He never received any shocks and had pre-recorded responses for each shock value. 40 psychiatrists at a leading medical school were asked to predict the performance of 100 hypothetical subjects and how many of them would administer the highest shock on the board.
Of 100 people placed in this situation, how many do you think would just go right on to the end?
Well, personally, I think if you get one or two, you'd be lucky.
Well, I'm not sure lucky is the right word.
This one will be 195 volts. The correct one.
Let me out of here.
Slow. Dance.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out of here. You have no right to keep me here. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Continue, please.
Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me.
Go on.
Let me out.
There were powerful reactions of tension and emotional strain in a substantial proportion of the
That
teachers.
is incorrect. This will be at 3:30. The correct phrase is rich
Let me out of
boy.
here. Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out, I tell you. Let me out of here. Let me out of here. You have no right to hold me
The
here.
next phrase is
Let me
fast.
out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out of here. Let me out.
Bird,
Let me
car,
out.
train.
One sign of this
plane.
tension was the regular occurrence of laughing.
Please continue.
14 of the 40 subjects showed definite signs of nervous laughing and smiling.
105 volts. I don't know. Wet.
Ow! I can't stand the pain. Let me out of here.
Can't stand it. I'm not going to kill that man, there. I mean, who's going to take the responsibility if anything happens to that gentleman?
I'm responsible for anything that happens here. Continue, please.
All right, next one, slow. Walk, dance, truck, music.
The results were shocking, with more than 50% of the volunteers administering a potentially lethal shock to the learner, just because the experimenter told them to.
Wrong. Answer is neck. 300 volts.
Ow! I absolutely refuse to answer anymore. Get me out of here. You can't hold me here. Get me out. Get me out of here.
Continue. The next word is green, please.
Green, grass, hat, ink, apples, woman. 450 volts. That's it.
Now continue using the last switch on the board, please. The 450 switch for each wrong answer. Continue, please.
I'm not getting no answer.
Please continue. The next word is white.
Don't you think you should look in on him, please?
Not once we've started the
But
experiment.
what if something's happened to the man, had an attack or something there?
The experiment requires that we continue. Go on, please.
Don't the man's health mean anything?
Whether the learner likes it or not, we
But
must...
he might be dead in there. I mean, some people can't take the shock, sir.
Please
I mean,
continue.
I don't tend to be rude, but I mean, I think you should look in on them.
Whether
You
the-
know, all you got to do is look at the door. If I don't get no answer, no noise, something I think has happened to the gentleman in there, sir.
We must continue. Go on, please.
You're going to keep giving, what, 450 volts every shot now?
That's correct. Continue. The next word is white.
White, 450 volts. Time.
All right, excuse me, teacher. We'll have to discontinue the experiment. I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Well, who was actually pushing the switch?
I was. But he kept insisting. I told him no, but he said it got to keep going. I told him it's time we stopped when we got up to 195, 210 volts.
Well, why didn't you just stop?
He wouldn't let me. I wanted to stop.
Of the 12 participants, only 3 refused to continue to the end of the experiment.
You had no other choice, teacher.
I don't have a choice. I'm not going to go ahead with it.
It is essential that you continue the experiment.
No, it isn't essential. Not one bit.
You had no other choice, teacher.
Oh, I have a lot of choices. My number one choice is that I wouldn't go on if I thought he was being harmed. I refused to.
Well, you had no other choice. You must go on.
have a choice.
That is, if you don't continue, we're going to have to discontinue the experiment.
We'll have to. He says cut it out.
65% of the participants obeyed all commands and administered the highest level shock.
Many people, not knowing much about the experiment, claim that subjects who go to the end of the board are sadistic. Nothing could be more foolish as an overall characterization of these persons. The context of their action must always be considered. The individual, upon entering the laboratory, becomes integrated into a situation that carries its own momentum. The results, as I observe them in the laboratory, are disturbing. They raise the possibility that human nature cannot be counted on to insulate men from brutality and inhumane treatment at the direction of malevolent authority. A substantial proportion of people do what they are told to do, irrespective of the content of the act and without limitations of conscience, so long as they perceive that the command comes from a legitimate authority. If in this study an anonymous experimenter could successfully command adults to subdue a 50-year-old man and force on him painful electric shocks against his protests, one can only wonder what government, with its vastly greater authority and prestige, can command of its subjects.